Hello investors, happy Monday. It's Stuart Cruz and welcome to Cruz Asset Management's video chart of the day. Today's topic is going to be real estate or real estate investment trust, REITs. So on the chart from our friends from my charts here, I have the Schwab US REIT ETF, SCHH. And as you can see, year-to-date performance, we hit a low back on our March 20th of down 41% year-to-date. We're still down 20% on real estate across the board. Now, real estate has done reasonably well from a 10-year average, up 45%, including that drawdown. So had a nice march upward, pulled back, but still up 45% over 10 years, even with this big drawdown. So let's go back to this year-to-date numbers. And what we're seeing is a tale of two economies, just like we see regularly. So this is no surprise, but real estate is not all real estate, right? Some are doing better, some are doing worse. So as we can imagine, I'm going to put up Simon Properties. This is a mall real estate, and it has gotten crushed because malls weren't doing great in the beginning, and they did even worse when the lockdown occurred. So we hit a bottom of 70% down, and we're still down 54% from the year-to-date, still well off the lows even of just the average real estate market. Now, if I put up Boston Properties, which is an office space REIT, office spaces also getting hurt from the lockdown. People are leaving their offices. It makes sense. So it's well off the index, down 37% year to date. And somewhat ironically, healthcare has also been hurt because people are afraid to go out, afraid to go to the hospital. People haven't been checking in, getting their tests done, haven't been going to get scans and screens. So hospitals have been suffering because of the lockdown. People have just been too afraid to do these things, which has caused several hospitals to shut down. And this, again, hospitals are down, hospital REIT is down 30% almost year to date. No surprise. Now, for the flip side of that, well, actually, Brookfield is an infrastructure play. So Brookfield is slightly ahead of the long-term average. So infrastructure, you could think, probably wouldn't get as hurt as bad during the lockdown. That makes a lot of sense. Prologis, this is an industrial play. So these guys are basically backing real estate that backs all the big, call it the big boxes, the big stores. So Amazon has to ship somewhere. They have to store things somewhere. It goes through industrial REIT spaces. So this is actually up on the year. Prologis is up 13% in a bad year for real estate. And then we're going to go with Equinix. This is a data center real estate. So the more calculations, the more technology we use, the more data centers we use, because everything's not in the cloud. In the cloud means in some data center somewhere that goes up to the cloud and then back down to your computer. So the more we use the cloud, the more data centers we need. And here we have a positive return of 35% year to date. So that's quite the spread between down 70% and up 36% on the year. Now, you might say, hey, well, Simon Properties is offering a huge dividend, and I'm going to put dividends up on the screen here. You can see Simon Properties, I'm going to go to this original chart, is showing an 11% yield. So is now a good time to buy Simon Properties, where maybe this Equinox is only showing a 1% yield, and I want real estate to give me a better yield. Well, really what you want is real estate to give you diversification benefits from your equities. But if you want to go for the yield play and you're focused on getting money in to basically augment your returns or offset your losses in your fixed income, let's take a look at that. Well, we want to do yield. So instead of having price up here, let's look at total return and see how that differentiates between price. So there we go, my alarm just went off. So we're going to look at price here on the top panel and total return price over the last year to date. And as you can see, the total return year to date or even out a year is has very little difference. Still, your Simon Properties are way off, even though you have 11% yield. And your Equinix is way up, even though that yield is the lowest. And all these things stay true to itself. So while you want to go after some sort of yield, you still want to have a REIT that is in spaces that are expanding, that are improving. You want to be in the right space. So this is just a yearly number. I'm going to take off the total return price. I'll tell you what, we'll keep the total return price on, and we'll look, instead of 1 year, we'll go out 5 years. And over 5 years, you still see the same winners winning. So you had Prologis and your Equinix were still ahead back several years ago, and they've continued to stay ahead, and they sold off during the lockdown, but not nearly as much as some of the other ones that were hurting, and looking out over 5 years, up over 200% each one of them. Whereas the malls, Simon Properties, were already struggling to do well. Here we're looking at a 4 or 5 year chart where they're basically at zero, not making any money. And then when the lockdown comes, when the strain happens, they get hit even worse. So they sell off. So do I think the malls are going to come back, or we're going to have a value purchase and we need to go ahead and buy Simon Properties because the yield is so great? No. What I would suggest, as history would suggest, is momentum works, relative strength works. So these REITs work better. So buy these REITs that are working well. And if they're working well over 6 to 12 months, you should continue to buy them. I kind of analogize it like this. I don't know if you like or care about football, but you want to, relative strength is a term like football season. Some football teams are going to make the playoffs in 1 year, and some are not. And I could bet the teams that made the playoffs as a whole are going to do better the following year. I don't even need to know why. Maybe they're younger, more skilled, they have better chemistry, but at the end of the day, the group of teams that made the playoffs are probably going to do better as a whole than the group of teams that didn't make the playoffs. Sure, there's going to be some teams that make it and don't make it, but as an aggregate, they're going to do better. So same thing here. If you think this area is a better place to invest, on the aggregate for the next 6, 12, 18 months, it probably will continue to keep up its momentum and do so, and probably be a better bet than a Simon Properties. Okay, so this is Cruise Asset Management with your video chart of the day, and don't forget to invest with the odds in your favor.